Hello, thank you so much for joining us for our late lunch and learn, a 1 hour session that will prepare you for your job search when going to job fairs. So we want you to be able to know before you go. My name is Wilson-Menefee. I am the founder of New Life Second Chance Outreach, and this event is one of our many events that we are hosting to honor our 10th annual Reentry Awareness Month and throughout the state of Georgia, which is all about empowering education and equipping individuals with the information they need to be successful in their reentry, connect them to resources, but also educate and engage with the community to let them know the importance of second chances, not only just during July, but throughout the year for individuals who are impacted by an arrest, conviction, or incarceration, as well as their families. Today's event is our first event of 3 virtual sessions in preparation for our huge one-stop shop job fair that we'll be having in Columbus, Georgia on July 30th, which is a 100% all vendors, every employer, every resource provider in the room are folks who give second chances to people impacted by a criminal conviction. And although this event, these 3 sessions are given to prepare those individuals on how to engage with resource providers and specifically employers at that job fair so that they can be successful and get the job. This event is actually open to anybody as it's free, it's virtual, whether you're in Alabama, whether you're in Georgia or any other state. Goodwill of Southern Rivers, our partners, are going to give you some awesome tips and best practices on not only how to engage with employers, but how to answer questions that me myself have had to answer, which was very difficult even when I got out of prison. It was a lot of my questions were a little different. Well, why are you not able to get a job despite having these degrees? And a lot of times it was you're overqualified. But one of the biggest
Mhm.
hurdles and the biggest challenges, not myself, but I find that a lot of people have questions with is, so tell me about yourself. They go into this long rant about how they like to play video games, how they like to cook, how they like to do. And your employer who works for a battery packing company wants to know what any of that has to do with his job. So we want to make sure that you're prepared. Oftentimes we're at job fairs and we see red flags as they walk through the door, whether that is you're walking through the door smelling high and mighty like weed, whether you're coming in the door with 3 or 4 kids, whether you're standing at the table with the employer, answering your phone or texting while the employer is talking to you, which means you're not even engaging with the individual that you want a job with, whether you're standing there in pajama pants and a shirt and a bonnet. There are ways that a lot of people are counting themselves out before they even get the job. And a lot of times people mistakenly feel that, well, this isn't the interview. They mistakenly feel that because this isn't the interview, that, oh, it's just a job fair, that they're good, when that's actually wrong because job fairs technically are your first impression. That is could be
Mhm.
the first time and the last time you have an opportunity. And if you do an application or give them your name likely has been written on something as don't ever think about hiring this person list. So we want to make sure that you are successful. We want to make sure that you are prepared and you know exactly what to do. And before we have Kathy Rosato from Goodwill in Columbus come on and do a presentation and give you the great tips, we want to let you know that if you're in Columbus, there is no registration to attend this job fair and resource fair. But if you're in Columbus, we will need you to go ahead and stop by the Goodwill Career Center to go ahead and get pre-registered. And that means get into Goodwill's system. Whenever you come into Goodwill's Career Center, you have to register on their computer. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes. So go ahead and get that out of the way. So when the 30th come and you're there you're probably already on a job and looking for a better job and you ain't got but 45 minutes, you don't want to spend 10 or 15 minutes of that trying to go ahead and get registered in the system. So go ahead and stop by there in the location. Is it 2601? Y'all at
Yes.
2601 Macon Road, Building B, which is the Career Center, and stop in and tell them you want to go ahead and get pre-registered because you're planning on coming to our July 30th job fair. So we're going to go ahead and get started and pass you over to Kathy Rosato from Goodwill of Southern Rivers at the Columbus, Georgia location. And so we can hear from her. And she's going to talk about 30, 40 minutes. And then whenever she's done, we're going to open up with some Q&A, any questions that you may have. And also, just because you're watching this, and this will be recorded, but just because you're watching this first session or join this first session, and if you're available to second and third session, please come back and join the second and third session, because you never know, questions and engagement may be different. People who have Q&A questions may have questions that actually pertain to you. So you may hear something that's a little different in each session. And we'll have this uploaded on our YouTube page by tomorrow, hopefully no later than Monday. But you will receive an email when it goes up. All right, Kathy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Walisha. Yes, I am Kathy Rosado. I am the Career Center Manager here at the Columbus Career Center. We're located on 2601 Cross Country Drive off of Macon Road, Building B. So it is specifically the Career Center, and then we also have on the other side the Education and Training Center. I created a PowerPoint, which I hope everybody's able to see. I'm going to start sharing and let me know if you're able to see it. Can you see it?
Yep, we see it.
Perfect. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be more like direct to the point of what we need to know before you go to any hiring event, or whether it's a multi-vendor hiring event or a single employer hiring event. We're here to prepare you for success. So whether you're rebuilding, let me put this small, whether you're rebuilding your life or you're just looking for a second opportunity, or maybe you want to change careers or just looking for a second chance, you always should be prepared. Employers are looking for reliable people, motivated individuals who are ready to work. The training will provide you with practical tips on how to make a positive first impression and increase the chances of securing your employment. Sometimes employers hire people they met at a hiring event even before they post a job. Many times, many of these employers will come in and they have jobs ready to be posted, but at times before they go ahead and they post it, they already have it with them. And so when they have that interaction with you, they already know, oh, this might be the individual that we're looking for. So you get to meet employers face to face. You learn about the available positions. You practice networking because you're talking to them and you could talk to other individuals who might have the same interests as you. You get interviews on the spot and you discover community resources. All of this is important during the hiring events. First impression do matter. That's one thing that Alicia was mentioning. So employers do notice your smile. The smiling, if you have a warm smile, it builds trust and makes interaction more welcoming and more positive when you're talking to that person. Confidence, believe in yourself at all times and in your abilities. Don't think about what you can't do, but think about what you can do. Stay positive. Your attitude is very important. Be respectful and show enthusiasm. Eye contact, it builds trust and it shows the confidence you have and the attention you're giving to the other person you're talking to. Appearance, dress neatly and present yourself professionally. And communication, listen actively, speak clearly, and build the positive connections. When you're doing that communication, ask the questions, and if you do not understand initially, ask it in a different way. Some of the best practices for oh my God, where am I? You do not need expensive clothes for to look professional. Okay? As long as you wear a clean, wrinkle-free clothing and fitting appropriately, that's a plus. Keep your hair neat and groomed. If you have a hairdo, nice and brushed out. Avoid clothing with offensive language or graphics. None of those big slogans on your shirts and whatnot. If you could wear a plain t-shirt, if that's all you have, a nice plain t-shirt, some nice pants, that's good. And for the ladies, same thing. If you don't have a simple dress or a simple pair of pants, just something that does not have anything that's too overempowering and would be more of a statement than of you. Wear closed toe shoes when possible. Sandals are appropriate, so as long as it's not beach sandals, let's put it that way. And minimize excessive jewelry and accessories. Some good examples, like I was mentioning, polo shirts, button-up shirts, blouses, khakis, dress pants, clean jeans if it's appropriate, and closed-toe shoes. Like Walisha mentioned earlier, let's avoid the pajamas. Let's avoid dirty clothing, ripped clothing. Some of our clients have come in with ripped jeans. That's a big no-no. Others come in with short shorts. That's another no-no. And what she mentioned earlier with the bonnet, another no-no. Because even though you have a genuine interest in looking for a job and seeking a job, sometimes this impression will turn off the employer. No house slippers, no Crocs, and strong perfume or cologne. Sometimes we come in and oh, we want to smell good. Let's keep it light. Personal hygiene is very, very important. This matters more than people realize. So before arriving to the event, make sure you're clean. Take a shower, a light shower. Maintaining, I apologize for the bottom things that don't belong there. Brush your teeth. Use deodorant. BO can be something that we don't smell, but other people can smell it. Comb your hair. Nice. Just keep it nice and neat. Nails. Sometimes our nails are extreme on the males. So if they can cut them and keep it nice and short, that would look nice as well. A big thing that we do not want to do, we do not want to chew gum. That's one thing we come into the event. We don't want to be walking in and we're just smacking our mouths and chewing gum and popping balloons. We want to avoid smoking or using marijuana prior to getting into the event. We have instances where somebody, they want to take the edge off. Do it in your own time. Do not come in here smelling like smoke, like you just finished having a smoke break or using marijuana, of course. Ensure that no strong odors are on you. Another thing you should take into consideration is turn your cell phone off or keep it on silent. If you can, come into the hiring event, like Walisha said, come in 10 or 15 minutes earlier. If you can come the day before to our center so you could prepare your resume and have everything that you need and register, that way you don't have to waste time and you can also get a fast pass. Come and do it. It's easier for you and you won't waste a lot of time. But also take this into consideration. If you do get an interview, same thing applies. Get to the location 10 or 15 minutes early so they can know that you're there, you're reliable, and you're punctual. When you're talking to the employer, listen carefully to what they're saying. That way you can understand what they're saying and you can ask the right questions. Speak clearly and respectfully. And always, always thank the employer for their time, whether it's here at a hiring event or if you have an actual interview with that employer. Like we mentioned earlier about the cell phone, your cell phone can cost you a job. So always put your phone on silent. Do not text while you're talking. If you're with an employer and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I got a text." No, no. Let's not do that. Let's not answer calls. Not even to say, not even to say, "Oh, I'll call you back later." We don't want to do that either. You just completely keep it in silent or leave it off. And obviously, we're going to avoid looking at our social media. In addition, no gum, no candy, and no eating while you're talking to that person, whether it's at a hiring event or wherever you are that's related to your future at getting a new employment. Create a professional email. So many of us, when we're younger and whatnot, we may create some of our crazy emails like cutie pie or hot mama at email whatever, gmail.com. But as we get older, we realize we got to go to the professional industries. So right there, we got to make sure that instead of using those kind of emails that we used to use when we were younger, we're going to use a more professional one. We can use it with your first and last name, as the examples you see here. You can add numbers if you'd like to, like the last one, robertwilliams25 at email.com. Those emails make a positive impression. Your email is often the first thing the employer sees. So if they see something like party guy or cutie pie or thug life, for example, they're going to be hesitant to call you, even if you're a professional, because you could demonstrate you're a professional and it's all nice and good on your resume, but sometimes these kind of emails will not make a positive impression on you. Don't ever give an employer a reason to eliminate you. Always be professional. Present yourself professionally. Focus on your qualifications and strength. Always keep that in mind. Be positive. Stay confident. When you're talking to that person, demonstrate to them that you know what you're talking about and you know what skill sets you're bringing to the table. Avoid. Avoid discussing personal problems or negative comments about previous employers. For example, if you had a really bad experience, they didn't treat you right, or you had an issue with your former boss, those are something you do not want to share. You just want to avoid discussing that kind of situation and just say, you decided to move to a different career path. Respectfulness. Always be respectful to everyone you meet, from the upper management to the lower employees. If treat everybody the same way. Employers are there looking to hire you. Help them focus on your skills, on your experience, and on your potential. Don't volunteer information that has been asked. Sometimes as candidates, we're looking for different job opportunities. And we get nervous and then we start talking and yapping and yapping. We don't want to do that. We don't want to share too much information, especially if it's information they didn't even ask us. If you have a felony background, don't even bring it up immediately. Focus first on your skills, your work history, and your strength. If asked, be honest, but be brief. Take responsibility. Answer questions without oversharing the situation. Keep your responses focused on your skills and your experience, your goals, and your ability to perform the job if needed. Quickly explain that you overcame your challenges and what you learned, and that you're there with a specific goal. And this is what you're looking for in your future. Employers do appreciate honesty and accountability. Some questions to ask employers. So when you have that conversation with them, don't be scared to ask them questions. Don't accept everything as a final thing. Ask them, what positions are they hiring for? What are the qualities that makes a person successful in the role that they're looking for? You can also ask if they provide on-the-job training. Now, many of our employers do have that opportunity. Ask them, is there anything that you can do to strengthen your resume? That's called feedback. You have that information, you go back and forth because you want to know what it takes for you to be successful in their company or in any company at this point. You can ask them what a typical day looks like. Employers remember people who ask thoughtful questions, okay? They want to hire people that know how to communicate with them, ask questions, and be clear about what they're getting into. When you're being interviewed by an employer, you're also interviewing the employer, so you get both way conversation. A light professional conversation helps employers see your personality and the interest in the position. This one is the one that Walisha mentioned earlier. This is one of the most common interview questions. It never fails. As much as you think they're not gonna ask you, they will ask you. So let's think about that for a moment. What you're gonna do is think about who you are professionally, what is relevant experience and skills you're gonna be sharing, and what you are looking for now. So the example we have here is, hi, my name is James. I have experience in warehouse operations and customer service. Over the last few years, I've worked on improving my skills and preparing for new opportunities. I'm looking for a position where I can contribute, continue learning, and grow within the company. You can modify this based on your own experience, and it's short and direct to the point. 60, 90 seconds. That much. You don't have to over elaborate on telling them more about yourself. The other question, how to answer what type of work you are looking for. One of the many, many mistakes there is out there is I'll do anything. And the reality is no, you won't do anything because there's so many different kinds of jobs out there and so many different kinds of skill sets that you have to think about, okay, what is this company offering and what is it that I can do for that company? So while the employers do appreciate your flexibility, they do want to know what your interests are and what your strengths are. Show that you have thought about your future and career goals. For example, you might be interested only in customer service because you enjoy working with people, or you want to work in manufacturing because you enjoy working with your hands. Um, more examples, interested in warehouse operations and logistics. Maybe you understand more how to work with data, or you're looking for opportunity in healthcare support. That could be CNA, CMA. If you don't have the experience, you can also consider having more training. But there are many, many opportunities that you should think about. Think about your interest, your experience, and what you've done in the past, and what you're good at. That's really, really important. Whatever you're good at. Again, what better example than customer service? If you like talking to people, you like helping people, you can let them know that. Again, based on the employer you are talking to. Now, in the sense of addressing the lack of employment experience, many people think that they have nothing to offer because they have limited work history. That's not the case. The truth is, employers also value the skills, reliability, and the willingness to learn. Focus on what you have done. As the list shows, consider experiences like volunteer work, community work. If you've given caregiving responsibilities, you took care of your mom, you took care of your dad, your grandmother. Those are experiences that it's not on the resume, but you do have that skill set. School or training programs. You attended night school and you got a certification in welding or in health related resources. You may not be working, but you do have the training. So that is an experience. If you participate of activities at the church, that's another way to address the lack of employment. I'm not working out here, but I've done this and I've done that. Or even leadership roles in apprenticeships. An example, I may not have extensive work experience, but I have completed training, developed strong communication skills, and I'm eager to learn and grow. I am dependable, motivated, and ready to work. All of these can be applied even if you don't have a lot of work experience.
Yeah. Kathy, can I say something right quick before? There we go.
Yes, ma'am.
No, go ahead. You got to the floor.
Okay. Addressing the gaps.
Yes, particularly for folks who are been incarcerated. So, but I'll chime in when you get in.
Yes, ma'am. So addressing employment gaps, that's for the times that we haven't been working. It could have been 6 months, could have been a couple of years. Best practices, always be honest. Keep your explanations brief. You don't have to give your whole life history. Focus on what you learn and how you have prepared to return back to work. And redirect the conversation towards your goals and your qualifications. Again, the example that I'm sharing is I experienced a period away from the workforce, but during that time, I focused on my personal growth, completing training, and preparing myself for employment. I am now ready and excited to return to work. So let's say you've been incarcerated. This is something you want to talk about professionally. Acknowledging the past. Many individuals are nervous about discussing this, but the key is to be honest, being accountable, and focusing on growth. You're taking responsibility. You're highlighting the positive change you made, and you're focusing on the future. Avoid blaming others. What happened happened. You're not going to talk about, oh, I did this and that, and it was because of so and so's fault. No, you don't want to. You don't want to go that route. You don't want to become defensive. You don't want to share unnecessary details about that situation. And you definitely don't want to speak negatively about the justice system. Keep your response brief, professional, and forward focused. An example that I have here is I made mistakes in the past that resulted in a period of incarceration. During that time, I took the opportunity to reflect, learn, and improve myself. Since then, I have completed training, developed new skills, and remain committed to building a stable and productive future. I am ready to contribute positively to an employer who is willing to give me an opportunity. Um, Another thing during the hiring events, visit every table. Even if it's something that you may not be interested, maybe you will see your dream job. But you may be surprised. You may find better opportunities, or they may offer training programs. There may be community resources that will become available for you that you didn't realize you needed. There may be housing assistance as well, transportation information, educational programs, apprenticeships, and of course, our second chance employers. That is the goal of this hiring event. We have more than 30 vendors that are going to be participating, so there are a lot of opportunities. Be prepared. Very, very important. Before attending a career fair or even an interview, bring multiple copies of your resume. Again, if you don't have a resume, please visit us a day before or a couple of days before the event, and we're here to help you. We'll help you build your resume if you don't have one, or if you have one, we'll help you update your resume based on what you're looking for. Very important, know your work history. Whatever you put in that resume, you have to be sure that you're able to answer questions related to it. Um, a lot of mistakes that people do is they go to ChatGPT, they create a resume, and it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's amazing. They take it to the employer, but when the employer starts asking questions about A, B, or C experience, the person is not even doesn't even know where that information came from, or they have to look at their resume to, oh, let me see really fast. You know, you got to be confident. You got to know that whatever's on their resume is 100% true, and you know what you've done, and it's your own experience. If you have references, keep them handy. 2 to 3 references is the ballpark. If you have a few more, even better. But if you have references, have them ready just in case some employers ask, oh, can we have some of your references so we can go ahead and do a call? Professional references, personal references are good. Family references, it could be the third option. Research the companies attending. Walisha has been sharing the flyer so you can see all the companies that will be at the event. Do your due diligence. Find out what they do. What do they offer? If they have any jobs posting on their career page, check them out. You never know if it's something like, oh my gosh, this is really what I'm interested in, and this is my goal. I want to go and apply for that job. Practice introducing yourself. Short and simple, 60 to 90 seconds. This is who I am, this is what I've done, and this is what I want to do. Bring a notebook and pen. They'll help you because that way you could write down what tables you visited, who you spoke with, and if you can get their phone number or email for follow-up and or thank yous, it would be a great opportunity as well. Confidence is the key. Remember, you are more than your past mistakes. You have skills and experience that matter. Employers are always looking for people who show up, work hard, and contribute positively. And confidence comes from preparation. The more prepared you are, the better outcome you're going to have. So it's one of the biggest challenges when you're self-doubting yourself, and you have to overcome that. Every interview is an opportunity to tell your story, demonstrate your growth, and show employers that you value the value that you bring and you're valuable. Your past may be part of your story, but it does not determine your future. Focus on your strength, prepare thoroughly, present yourself professionally, and let employers see the person you are today, not just the circumstances that you overcame. Your future starts today. Smile. Dress professionally, put your phone away, be confident, and most of all, believe in yourself. This is what I have for today.
Thank you so very much. That was a very detailed, thorough, and very good presentation.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so very much. Um, yeah, at first I was like, okay, but you addressed it very good. I went right on in there about the incarceration gaps. I loved it. I loved it. I actually learned some new stuff. I loved it. Um, do we have any questions from any those who are attending? Do you want, you can raise your hand or take yourself off mute and ask your question. If not, I will ask some questions. So first question, if you have an inkling that the employer will not hire you, based on just their engagement or the interaction during your interview, if you have an inkling that they're not going to hire you, and maybe they did say, you're a little bit underqualified, or you think that they don't feel like you're as experienced as you should for this position, is it okay to ask them, well, if you don't think I'm qualified for this one, are there any other open positions that you think I might be a great fit for? Is that okay to
You
ask
can
the employer?
you can ask them the question, but the other question would be, where do you think I should strengthen my resume, or what qualifications do you think I'm missing that I should consider getting more experience at?
Okay. And I
So,
guess that's where that on the job training question comes in at.
yes,
Okay.
yes. So that's why it gives you different opportunities because you may come with a little bit of experience, but if they have training on the job, let's take advantage of that. Do you offer on the job training? So it gives you that opportunity to open up to another conversation.
Okay. Okay. Another question, and these are a few questions that this question was submitted by email. When you don't know, some job fairs you go to, and you don't know if all of the employers in the actual space are people who will hire people with a criminal record, and you go into an interview, you've applied, they've called you in. When does that actual conversation comes up? If the employer, I mean, if the employer has not asked you anything about your record, do you leave the interview without mentioning it, or should you say something?
You can start with during that interview process, one way or another, that information may pop up. So, example, would tell me about yourself. Obviously, we don't want to go directly to that information, but you should mention it one way or another during the interview because it would be shocking to them after the fact. Oh, wait a minute, you never told me this. And it could be that once they see your background check and you didn't say anything, that's going to put you as a negative person. So it's very important that during that interview, if when they end the interview, is there anything else you want to share with us? That's your
That is the opportunity.
that's the
Okay.
opportunity. Well, yes, this happened many, many years ago, but keep in mind the positive. This is who I am today. I overcame these challenges, and this is where I
Mhm.
am today and my goals.
Okay. Because that's one of the questions we also get when we are dealing with folks who have been in long-term addiction. They're now in recovery, and a lot of their charges stemmed from them stealing and doing
Yeah,
things like that. So
yeah,
we've done a lot of mock interviews, and that question is, well, Miss Wilson, one person got fired, and they said, well, the employer never asked me about it.
yeah.
And so
You have to be honest
you
from
know
the
you don't
get-go.
you don't you don't want to step up and just volunteer, that you're told not to volunteer information, but if you go through an entire interview for 30, 45 minutes and the employer never mentions it, you'd be like, well, they ain't saying that, I shouldn't say anything.
No,
But I've always felt like you should say something,
you should.
because like when you ask what's the next step, because at some point they're going to ask you, do you have any questions for me? And to me, even though, and I've been in an interview before and they never brought it up, but for one, I wasn't thinking so much of, I need to be honest with these people. They need to know my business. I was thinking, I don't want to waste my time sitting here thinking I'm going to get this job only for you to run my background check. And then you tell me the reason I didn't get the job was because I didn't tell you. Well, you didn't ask me. Or I don't want to go through that whole process of being excited. And some companies will actually hire you on, have you working for months, then turn around and tell you, oh, it just took this long to get to HR. I don't know how people are getting hired in these spaces only to be kicked off and told 3 months, 6 months, even years after that
Yeah,
they can't work with a record. but I wanted to avoid that stress for me. So
Exactly.
that's why I said, well, I know you did not mention it. You didn't ask me about it. I don't know if it wasn't asked on the application, but I want to make sure that when you were in this background, will it be a problem by me having had served time in prison? And then that way, when he was getting ready to end the interview, he said, well, he kind of sat up and was like, what is the issue, with that? And so I explained it, and he did say thank you for the interview. Now, did I get the job? I did not. He said it wasn't an issue because I had a criminal record. It's because I had two master's degrees and I was overqualified. And he felt like I wasn't going to work for that little bit amount of money. I wouldn't have stayed long and I would have eventually left. And he actually was wrong. I think I would have, the first person who would have given me an opportunity and given me a chance, I would have been extremely loyal to them, not really mattering who else came along to give me a couple dollars. It's
Yeah.
that same thing of the grass isn't always greener. People do it all the time, whether it's jumping jobs, jumping relationships, or whatever. I've seen people do it all the time. They get out of prison, they haven't worked in 10 years. Somebody finally give you a job, and I ain't trying to work for $15. And I'm like, well, you weren't working for anything while you was in the state in the penitentiary.
That's
And you work somewhere for 3 months. You find somebody that says they'll pay you 17, and you work there 2 months, and now that guy done lost the job or something that happened on the job when you had a person who actually invested in you. So we do a lot of mentoring on that,
that's
you
very
know.
important. That's very important, and I'm glad that you do that mentoring because we do have a lot of situations where, oh, they want to have a second opportunity, but the pay rate, the salary is not what they're looking for. And hey, sometimes we start out a little bit low, but then we gradually grow. You get a pay bump on a yearly basis. You
Yeah.
got to give the employer that opportunity. You're demonstrating your skill sets, you're demonstrating your loyalty, and then the employers will see that in the long run.
Yeah. So you should always, whether the employer asks it or not, you should not leave that interview without disclosing the fact that you've had a
Yes,
record and
I
want to know
wouldn't.
how
I
it'll
would.
impact the next step.
Yes, because it will impact negatively if they find that after the fact. Oh, they didn't say anything, and I understand. No, but they didn't ask. Give it to them, even if it's short and simple. I had the situation, but this is where I am today.
Yeah.
And in your case, you said you had two masters. It's happened to me where I wanted to work a certain place, and I know I was perfect for the job. And the same thing, oh, you wouldn't have stayed with the pay we were going to give you because you're overqualified. And I'm like, dude, I'm looking for a job that would be
Yeah.
stable. I'm looking for a health plan.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's what I want to just put that in there about folks who are in recovery. I don't know how to, I've had 17, theft by taking or whatever. And I'm trying to, and I tell people, I think one of the most critical things is get where you fit in. If match yourself. Some folks, they'll get out of prison saying, I ain't working nowhere less than $25. I got 33 certificates. I've done these programs in prison. You literally didn't have no choice because you don't have anything to do in the prison. So
mhm,
not saying that has less weight on it, because it's very admirable that you did something positive with your time. But if you really were out, would you have really been so gung-ho on getting all those certificates? Probably not. So yes,
mhm,
you have 33 certificates, but that means nothing. And oftentimes people want to start you out just to see if you're going to stay. And I think with some of the folks that we've dealt with, we also talk about folks who are in still active addiction, who are looking for jobs. And I've had that question. I need a job. I need a job. Do you think I need to be fine? And sometimes we will say, be honest with you, we don't think you're ready for a job right now. Because if you're still in active addiction, the first time you work a job where you have some availability to some cash, if you don't take it, the first time you get your check, you're not showing up on Monday because you've gotten high all weekend. So these are some of the that people, appreciate that we talk about these kind of things in our job readiness workshops, because they're like, well, I want a job, but how do I explain that I've had 23 charges from theft or, bad writing checks? And I said the same thing. This is at a time when I was sick. I was, dependent on a substance, but I've been clean 3 years. In that 3 years, I have not been in any trouble. I have not taken anything from anybody, and I just I'm a better person. I now am I'm healthier, and I'm strong in my recovery. I'm 365 days clean or whatever. But yes, you're looking at the negative. You're looking at my background check. You're looking at this, but that is the old person who
Exactly.
was on something that I had no control. It just kind of took me over, but that's no longer me. I'm now into my family, I'm into my community. And so I be wanting folks to know I always end with the positive of what you can contribute now.
Yeah,
I am a positive aspect, and I think the biggest is all I'm asking is for you to invest, not just hire me, but to invest in me and just
mm-hmm.
let me show you that I will be loyal and do what I need to do to come to work. And don't just say it
Exactly.
at the interview and then get the job and don't want to do anything. Do it. Follow it up with what you say you're going to do.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's why it's always you got to keep that in mind, when we're doing the interview or we're talking to the employer, let's be brief about what we did in the past, but hey, this is where I am today. This is the
Mm-hmm.
qualifications that I have. This is the skill set that I have. This is the goals that I have for my future, my family. You know, we want to make sure that the employer knows, I'm for real. This is what I want
Yes.
to do, and I'm going to demonstrate that I have what the employer's looking for.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay. Well, if you do, just say something. I got two more. It's one question is, how do you address when you ask that question? I don't think you mentioned it in the workshop, in this
Mhm.
training, but the question that another one that stumps people, why did you leave your last job? And
Um,
that issue is when a lot of, they technically got fired because they
yeah.
probably cussed out the supervisor, whatever it is that happened. But if
No,
it's negative and that, because they're always going to say, we need to call your last employer. And you don't want them to call your last employer because your last employer is going to say really bad stuff. How do you answer that question without negatively talking about your previous employer when asked
I
why you
just
left?
I
I
decided to
always tell
say
people never talk negative. I don't care if that
never,
was
never,
your
never.
worst enemy. Never, never talk negative about your
Mm-mm.
previous employer because they figure you'll be saying the same thing about me
The
next year.
world goes round and round. You never know if you have to go back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing. So one of the things I would say, I decided I wanted a career change, or I decided that this wasn't a good fit for me. Things like that. Not talking about you're not talking negative about the employer. You're talking
Hmm.
about it was my decision. I decided to walk away. If I was let go, why was I let go? They decided to do some internal changes or things like
Yeah.
that.
Clean it
Uh,
up.
yes.
Okay.
You don't have to be detailing, oh yeah, I got into a fight with my boss and this is what happened. No, you don't want to do that. So
Okay.
hopefully, you try to give them a perspective that you chose to leave. I decided to have a career change, or I decided that this wasn't a good fit. This job was not a good fit for me. That would be a good one, I would
Okay.
say.
Then did you speak a little bit about bringing kids to a job fair or even to an
I
interview?
didn't mention that, but I will add it for the next one because you're right.
Is that
Kids
good
should,
practice or no?
we want to, even though Goodwill is a kid-friendly organization, not for a hiring event. Because we've had instances when people, they bring their kids because they don't have childcare. So let's think about it this way. If you don't have childcare to come to a hiring event, will you have childcare if you
To
have
come to work. That's a good point.
We
That's a
have to
good
keep
point.
that in mind. I didn't mention it, but yeah, we got to keep that in mind because it could be a little bit stressful in that sense,
Yeah.
and that's what the employer is going to see. Oh, whoa, no childcare here, so how are they going to work for me?
Yeah. And also say the same thing too, even though there are certain legal things that employers are not legally supposed to do. Employers are not supposed to ask you if you're married. They're not supposed to ask you if you have children. They're not supposed to do that. That's actually
They're
illegal.
not even supposed to ask
But
your age.
yes, but we know that they do it because they are in a business to make profit. And as you
Hmm.
said, yes, I can't legally ask her if those are her kids that she brought with her. But as an employer who has a business to run, they're going to want to know if, wait a minute, she brought six kids in here with her. She's having to turn around and tug at them. Just imagine when the school calls and you got to go out. They want to make sure. So the best practice is we can find a babysitter to go everywhere else. We need to figure out how we can find a babysitter to take an
Go to a
hour out
hiring
to go to
event.
a job fair because you do not want to take your kids with you
No.
because it's complete
And
distraction
it's
and it
and
takes away.
it's exactly it's a distraction for you. And if they have small kids, they start running around or grabbing things. Even if you're a parent that you know how to control your kids, kids are kids.
Yeah.
Kids are going to be kids, and
Yeah.
you don't want to react a certain way in front of anybody because your kids maybe did something you didn't want them to do.
Yes. I'm glad you talked about the resume with the professional names. We've gotten it. Yes, at your age, you're looking for a job. And another thing we tell folks too, as well as about their social media pages. If you're looking for a job, as soon as you know that you're looking for a job, you need to be spending an entire weekend cleaning up your social media page.
Yep.
Not only is your cover page open to the public, even though you may hide your profile pic, but certain posts on your page, you're going to the strip club every Tuesday. And if your boss man can see that, and then that may actually explains why you are always calling out on Wednesday. So a lot of
Hmm.
times we give ourselves away. So when you know for a fact that you're looking for a job, just like employers have job fairs, defects workers, Section 8 workers, the police, they got social media pages too. And people say, well, that's just something I posted on my page. I don't smoke weed. If you don't smoke weed, why would you be posting about weed on your page?
You're promoting
So,
it.
yeah, so you want to make sure that the person that you're presenting yourself as is the person that, and you say that you're that person, that people need to see that in from the way you walk, from the way you talk, even from your social media pages. And we can't stress that enough. And we also
Exactly.
said, even from your, like you said, with emails, you might have sold drugs in your past days, but you got number one dope boy at Yahoo as your, these folks, it puts stuff in people's head. They don't know if you're going to be on their job instead of serving burgers, you serving whatever. So you want to
Right.
make sure, I mean, emails are free. You can get 100 free emails from Gmail to make sure you have professional emails. And even though a lot of folks aren't using them as much, but I definitely would tell people also about their voicemails. Your voicemail music, yo, what up? Call me, all this kind of stuff that you say on your voicemail, or really filthy rap music playing. Nobody wants to hear that just to get all the
Mm-mm.
way to say the beep because they might not make it to the beep. And then the other big thing that really, really gets me is you're applying for a job, but you don't respond to your emails and you don't answer the phone, you don't respond to text. And then when they do leave a voicemail, you get, I'm sorry, you can't leave a voicemail because this subscriber's voicemail is full.
Yep.
If you're
We get
looking for a
that.
job, you need to make sure you are available for a job because just like you applied for the job, 10 other people applied for the job. And that could be
Exactly.
the one thing that causes them to say, I'm going to the next place. So those are just some of the other additional tips and nuggets that I wanted to put in there before I
No.
close with the last question about you said, I'll do anything. And I thought about that when you said it, and I just wanted to laugh because I have been an employee at some point, had to hire people, and they were, I'll do anything. And as an employer, we needed folks. I really wanted to do it. And they were supposed to be working the front counter. And of course, you're just there to work the front counter, on occasionally drop a few fries or whatever. But then all of a sudden, it was like, hey, we had an accident in the bathroom and we need somebody to get in there and clean it up. And it was like, that ain't my job. That ain't my job description. That ain't what I applied for. But
Exactly.
I didn't think about it because based on what you just said, I wish I could have gone back 18 years and say, but in the interview, you said, I'll do anything. So you want to be very careful when people say, what is it? What kind of position are you looking for? And you say, I just want a job. I'll do anything. Because if
Yep.
you're
You
not
know
trying
what?
to do anything, and then that's bad. You don't want folks to think you'll do anything to keep a job,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I just wanted you, this was an awesome workshop. And I'm hoping that when folks watch it, they will be blessed by it. I'm hoping that something out of either one of these three sessions that comes up, that when somebody goes to their next job fair, whether it's the one that we're having in July 30th or anywhere else they go, or even just interview, that some part of this sticks with them and resonates with them
Yes.
and says, oh, okay, wait, this is how you answer that question. This is what's going on with that. So I wanted to thank you so much, and then I wanted to also just let folks know about a few other events that we do have coming up. This was the first session at 3 o'clock. The next session that we will have also will be on Zoom, is a virtual session, and it will be to kind of help with folks who couldn't make it at 3. It will be next Thursday, the 23rd at 6 p.m. And then the third session is going to be the day before our job fair, which is July 29th at 12 p.m. And it's going to be the same link. I just got to update it in there, but it's going to be the exact same link. And also for those of you who are seeking employment on the 23rd for our lunch and learn, we're going to be having Supply 360, who is going to be coming on to tell you about their trucking, logistics, if you're wanting to be a dispatcher, their warehousing and their workforce development program. That's going to be on the 23rd at noon for our lunch. Just to hear about that program. Of course, they're background friendly. New Life Second Chance only deals in doing anything that's background friendly. And if you haven't checked out any of our other events, please, please, please go to our website at www.nlscoinc.org. Go to our work tab and then drop down to our upcoming events and check us out. If you're in Columbus or if wherever you are, there's a Goodwill, whether it's Goodwill North Georgia, Goodwill Southern Rivers, wherever it's at, please go to your Goodwill because not only do they help you with your resumes, they have job fairs all the time. And then they have a huge calendar that comes out at the beginning of each month of all job fairs, resume writing workshops, just a lot of great stuff and free stuff. So please definitely take advantage by visiting your local Goodwill. But if you're in Columbus, please make sure you stop by the Goodwill Career Center off Macon Road that sits behind the actual Goodwill store. Go to Building B to the Career Center.
Yes.
Um, Last question I wanted to ask because it just popped in my head. If you go to a job fair and you don't know it to be a 100% second chance job fair, how do you find out if the employers are background friendly? As
I
opposed to,
mean,
you like you said, go to every table. But what is it that you can kind of do? Is there a certain particular question that you can ask and say,
I
well, what's
mean,
your hiring policy on people with records or something like that?
you know,
What do you?
something along those lines, have you hired second chance people or do you do background checks? I mean,
Okay.
many of our employers do background checks. I don't think that question would be good though. It's more like,
Okay.
what is your policy on hiring people with second chances or reentry, depending
Okay.
on how they understand it? Because that's another thing. We're talking about second chances. Other people may understand reentry. Other
Yeah.
may understand um another kind of word. If we could have a cordial conversation, and how about have you hired people that have backgrounds? What is the policy on that? Try to get a feel for that
Okay.
because
Okay.
everybody that signed up for this job fair, we asked that question, what is your policy on that? Is it on case basis or you do not hire at all? How does it look like? Is it one-on-one person, or it depends on what kind of background it is? Because if you have a background related to money,
Hmm.
you were working money, a bank is definitely going to say, nope, we don't hire you.
Yeah.
Okay, because
That's
you were
exactly
working
what
with
I wanted to
money.
bring up when I said, and I forgot my train of thought. That's why I didn't bring it up. But sticking in your lane, you've written checks, you've stolen, overpayment of food stamps, you done everything that you done picked up, you done grabbed.
You're
I don't
not
care
going to
how much
go,
time you did in prison. I don't care how many certificates you've got. If you were in
it's going
prison
to be
for
a big no.
embezzlement, it's going to be a no. So
Hmm.
don't consider that. Well, that's what I want to do. I went to school for that. That's sometimes you're going to have to just understand that that's just gone. It's never going to come back. It's no different than being a nurse and you were abusing elderly people in a nursing home. You're never going to get a job in that area again. So at some point, you're either going to have to learn how to pivot and find you a different type of whatever your strength is somewhere else.
And give yourself that opportunity. Don't be stuck. Oh, I only want to do this because this is all I know how to do.
Hmm.
There's a lot of other opportunities where you have the opportunity to learn new skills.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much. This has been amazing. I'll make sure I get this uploaded and try to go ahead and get it uploaded today, probably around 6 or 7. But I just want to thank you. This was a great lunch. I didn't eat lunch at all today, and I was like, this is going to be a great lunch. So I was excited about this, and I hope those who attended really found it to be helpful. And we look forward to seeing y'all next week
Yes.
at 6 p.m.
So Denise will be hosting that one, and then I'll
Okay,
be again on the following one for 12 p.m.
the noon. Okay. Well, we'll see you then.
Okay, take
Thank you
care.
so much.
Bye bye.